What's up, everybody? Tyson Roush. Let's talk Jets. Wishing all of you and your families a very happy and healthy new year. And thank you for checking out our channel, watching our videos, and joining us on the streams. We definitely appreciate it. It was only a matter of time for these ridiculous articles started circulating following the Jets' loss on Thursday night. You know, you lose 4 in a row, 2 at home. Your playoffs seem to be kind of out of realm, and you know Zach Wilson's getting booed off the field, and everybody hates everything. And all of a sudden, there's some turmoil within the Jets. Woody Johnson's unhappy. Is Joe Douglas on the hot seat? Is Coach Saleh on the hot seat? I mean, keep in mind, they're playing a meaningful game this Sunday, and they're 2 wins and a Patriots loss away from making the playoffs. But now it's like Woody Johnson's unhappy, and Joe Douglas could be fired at season's end. Now, I understand why you write these articles. First of all, you want a reaction. Thus, here I am. You know, negativity sells, and the Jets as an organization have done really stupid things in the past where, like, for example, letting Mike Maccagnan spend $100 million, go through a draft, and then firing him. But the last couple of years, the Johnsons have kind of stepped back and said, you know what? Let football guys make football decisions. We're going to be hands-off. We're going to give approval for certain things, but we're going to let you guys do your job and see what happens. And what has happened over the last 2 years is Joe Douglas, who inherited a terrible roster, a barren roster, and bad contracts, has slowly but surely weeded it out. Now, general managers are evaluated by 2 things. Who's the coach that you hired and who's the quarterback that you got? The coach right now, as of now, you got to say Saleh's done a decent job. He's improving and he's learning. There's a lot of positive things there because you're seeing significant improvement this year. Now, Joe Douglas struck out on the quarterback. The same quarterback that was universally praised when they drafted him. Everybody loved the arm talent, the ceiling, all these different things. But for whatever reason, right now it's not working out. And I honestly think a change of scenery for Zach Wilson will be better. But the big mistake for the Jets would be to at least recognize your mistake and move on and don't double down on it. Like, don't say, you know what, we blew it with Zach Wilson, but we're going to keep forcing him out there and just forcing him out there and hope by some love of football gods, they strike down lightning and hit him, he becomes a great player. You got to recognize, cut your mistakes. And that's kind of what Saleh did during the season. Like, you know what, kid, you're not ready now. You're overwhelmed. Your days, you're confused. We've got to not only bench you, we've got to make you inactive. And they did it for the rest of this year. So I give him credit for that. But in terms of saying, you know what, well, Joe Douglas bombed on Zach, he's got to go, I think that's stupid. You know what? I think based on the way he's handled contracts, not giving away crazy money, and having outs after a couple of years with guys like Lawson and Corey Davis. So he's been financially responsible. He's had solid draft classes. And I think you see the blueprint, you see the vision. And he seems to also work very well with Saleh, where they're on the same page. They have the same mindset with the kind of players they want. To even consider firing Joe Douglas at the end of the season is completely just asinine. And I think it's just speculation based on the incompetence of the past and just trying to, you know, ruffle some feathers. Because, listen, I know when you lose 4 in a row and the way the Jets are now, right now, going into this week, it'd be hard to sell tickets. Like, even going into next year, if you're bringing Zach Wilson back, you're not sure about Mike White, the Jets are not a marketable product. You go out and bring another quarterback in, probably so, or if Mike White leads you to the playoffs, that's good. But, like, I understand the notion of the Jets could be losing money or losing fanfare, but they're a team on the rise. Now, it may not be as fast as we want, but I think the Johnsons recognize where they started and where they are and where they can go. The Jets are a young and up-and-coming team that has a lot of potential going forward. So to make a move is stupid. And in terms of Saleh, I don't think he's going anywhere either. Now, if he lost the next 2 games and you lose 6 in a row, I think Saleh comes back, but I think he'll also be forced to probably fire somebody. He'll need a scapegoat, and that'll probably be Mike LaFleur, to be honest with you. But that is if we get there. But I will say this. Going into next year, regardless of who the quarterback is, there should be some kind of mandate from ownership saying, you know what, this team's got to win 10 games, man. You've got to make the playoffs because this rebuild can't last forever. Like, you can't be like, well, this is a 5-year plan. I mean, year 3, you've got to be in the mix. You've got to be in the hunt more than this year. This year has kind of caught everybody by surprise because of how these young guys performed before we even expected them to, which is a credit to the staff and a credit to Joe Douglas for finding the talent. But next year, it's like, all right, year 2 for all these guys, year 3 for some of them, and you're going to add in more players. So next year should be where it's like, listen, you guys have got to bring some pretty high-level football to the table, and then everything is cool. Because, you know, it's funny, at 5-2 this year, or even like 6-3, people are saying the Jets are so good, give Douglas an extension, give Saleh an extension. And I guarantee you what, the Jets make the playoffs, these articles about firing people are going to be the complete opposite. Like, oh, you got to give Saleh, 2 more years, and Douglas 2 more years, and all this stuff. So For everybody that tagged us in those comments and the articles, I saw them. I understand. I'm not buying any of them. But of course, with my luck, 3 weeks from now, it's going to happen. You guys can all tag me, but look at this buffoon. He's wrong. But again, I don't think Joe Douglas or Saleh are going anywhere this year. Next year, they've got to produce a big-time football team, or then the conversation begins.